All right, how's everyone doing today? Let me know if you can hear me. It's great to have so many of you hanging out with us already. Right. Appreciate you showing up, Mr. Jansen. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us today. It's always helpful to have someone along moderating. I've just started getting this question from people about the live stream that I did with Logan and Archaics getting removed. Is that true? But yeah, I guess it was. Got more details, or maybe I'll reach out to. One second, let me just text Logan. I hope it didn't hurt his channel. Like, that's what matters most. One second, family. All right, I reached out to Logan. If he gives me an update, I'll let everyone know. But for now, we got to focus on the Red Pill podcast. it's a different subject. Also, what's probably going to happen is we're all going to re-upload it anyways at a later date. Get through these holidays and all that jazz. Get back to this chart. Got 200 people. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So the link is working. Audio should be working. Everything's good to go. Give me some thumbs up just so you can tell. Sorry. Just give me a thumbs up so I can know that we're sounding good. All right. Yep. Beautiful, beautiful. Everyone's saying loud and clear, loud and clear. Great. Well, first of all, it's so great to be able to connect with everyone on a live Red Pill podcast. I love doing these. Today's going to be a special episode. We're not going to be talking too much about the decoding stuff. We're going to really try our best to focus on these charts because we have a lot going on right now. A lot of our, investment thesis is unfolding. We've had some volatility kick in over the past month, 2 months since we had our solar eclipse back on October 14th. It's pretty obvious now from the moment of that eclipse. Everything started to turn pretty bullish pretty quickly, as expected. And we're here in what's called the end of the year. And seeing some of these upside price targets hit, still have a little bit more room to go, I believe, by late December, by like mid-late December. Should be a really bullish end to the year, but ultimately, I think we're moving up a little too quick, too fast, and that's very crypto-like. And what that means is FOMO is gonna start showing up. A lot of people are gonna start, let's just say this. You're gonna start seeing a lot of influencers that don't even talk about crypto come out and start talking about crypto. You're gonna see people that like run real estate channels and talk about credit cards and talk about like how to flip cars and do e-com. You're going to hear drop shipping guys start talking about crypto all of a sudden. That's how you know we're like getting into a bull run. All right. When you start seeing people that never talked about it during the bear market, they show up and they start selling you on, here's how you make $100,000 in a week on a, like this kind of mess. So I'm not trying to troll anyone. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just letting you know of some of the things to look out for. And we're getting close to that energy right now. I could feel it. So we're more than well prepared. The one thing that we have on our side is we're not so emotional about these markets, and we also understand that there's different metrics that are moving this market that most people don't even have a clue about. So it's really nice to be aware, but what's most important is the fact that we're aware together. We have a community of people and we're all interested in different things, and we could all bring our specialty to the table. Whatever you're into, whether it's something regarding health and wellness, or it's technical analysis, or it's decoding, or it's, making jewelry, or doing pro coding, whatever it is. This is what's so beautiful about what we're doing here, is we're all encompassing and we have so many different hobbies and skills and interests. And I really want us to remind ourselves of that on a daily basis when we're moving into this new year, when we're moving into this year of 2024, especially when we get to a crypto bull run. Because what happens in these crypto bull runs is people become so just immersed in crypto that they let their real life dissolve. And that's really a dangerous type of person to be. You need to remind yourself that a bull run is a very short moment in the grand scheme of things. When things are positive, they're positive, but it's really short term. And if you're only feeling positive and feeling good because you're quote unquote making money, and you're disregarding your people and disregarding skill building and disregarding family and disregarding friends and all this stuff, well, then you're just going to be the rich guy that's empty inside, And I want us to do this bull run right. I think there's so much more to doing the bull run right than just making money. Yeah. Because true wealth comes from how strong your relationship is with not only the material realm, but with the people in your life. That's going to make you feel the most prosperous. When you don't need money necessarily to feel a sense of purpose. And what happens during bull runs is people get too caught up in this idea that making money is their purpose. And they start to disregard so many other very important things. So I just wanted to start out this podcast with that. I know we're going to be getting into a lot of charts and money talk today, so I just wanted to kick things off with setting these intentions, And once you set these intentions, you just embody wealth. You embody what you will be, what you are. And then everything else falls into place. There is no concern or worry anymore. There's no reason to have FOMO or FUD. It no longer concerns you. And that's what makes what we're doing here so rare. Anytime you ever feel that anyone is concerned in our Discord, be comforting to them, but also speak your truth to them. We're not here to coddle anyone. We're not here to make anyone feel like, a little butterfly. Like, people need to be told the truth right now more than ever. And I hope that everyone's willing to sweat with each other in the sauna. That's important. Remember, it's hot in there, but while we're there, we're detoxing. That's crucial. A lot of people forget that. So there's going to be a lot to unfold over the next 5, 6, 10 months, and you're going to see communities naturally get larger. People that come into the communities are going to be more focused on crypto and probably less focused on other things. And I'm sure any of you that's been here for a while, you've seen that happen in the last bull run. You saw that happen at pretty much any time there's something big that happens in the market. That tends to be the talk of the town. The new talk of the town on the world stage is things regarding war. And I don't want to get too deep into that today because that's not what this is about, but we will have just a quick recap decode to get things going, and then we'll get directly into my investment thesis. I'll be talking about my portfolio with you guys. I'll be breaking everything down step by step. I have so far a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11 to 12 coins just for myself that I'm going to be reviewing. You guys have heard of them mostly already. We've done over 130 podcasts, so there's going to be repetitive. That's just the nature of this. And then I'm going to be opening up as much time as I can to be chatting with you guys. So whatever questions you have, we'll get to that at the end. For now, let's maybe hold off on the questions. I'm going to just say hi to a couple people. I'll be getting into a very, very quick, brief recap decode, nothing new. And then we'll be getting into my investment thesis, talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, of course, to just get a general overview of the market, and then moving into a bunch of altcoins. And then I'll be opening everything up for questions, and then we'll take it from there. Might be a longer podcast than usual, but I'm sure many of you will appreciate that. As much time as I could spend with you is what is my priority. Just 1 second. I'm going to get some water, and then we're going to kick things off. All right. Oh, and just a couple quick updates. I shared this in my live stream yesterday. I also shared it in this post that I made. We have a Black Friday sale exclusive to the Patreon supporters. So if you guys are interested in this, 25% off all of my courses. And it's going to be lasting through Cyber Monday. So no rush for you guys, but this promo code is not the one you're going to want to use. That's a 20% discount. If you want the better value, it's Patreon Black Friday. It's written in the description of this video as well. And it's just available for any of my courses if that's something that you're interested in. It's my biggest sale of the year, and I don't want to take up too much of your time with this today, but I just wanted to let you know in case you missed any of those updates and you were interested in investing in yourself by investing in my art. And I really appreciate all the support. It's beautiful to see how much positive feedback this work has gotten, especially the expansion mastermind, which I finished 100%. So that's available now, 100% complete. It's been beautiful to talk about it, mostly on these live streams that we do on the weekends, and just receiving these emails and messages I get about the changes that have happened in people's lives since they've gotten that course. It really, it's a beautiful feeling for me. It feels so much more in my purpose than anything that has to do with crypto. So I'm really happy that I'm on this path and I'm not just focused solely on crypto, because it's beautiful to see the impact that's happening here. And the new decoding course that's going to come out, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to be giving not only the biggest discount available to you guys, but it's also going to have a pre-sale and a pre-sale launch price. So you guys are going to probably be getting the course like 35% off or something like that. It's going to be really valuable. So the amount of stuff that's going to be in that is, I don't even want to hype anything up. That's not the kind of guy I am, but I'll save that for another time. I just want to let you guys know that you're not missing out on anything like regarding any Black Friday sale with that decoding course, because you're going to be getting the best price possible on that. I'll make sure of it, and I'll let you guys know when that's ready and available. I'm aiming for before Christmas, so I have a lot of work to do, but I once I get into a flow state, it all comes together pretty quickly. So first things first, Discord server. I keep getting the same thing happening over and over again where I share with people. Please send me a direct message on Patreon with your Discord username. That's how I'll be able to help get you onboarded. I can't do it any other way. Don't email me. Don't put it in a comment in this post. I'm just telling you the only way that it could be done. So direct message me on Patreon with your Discord username. I'll be able to get you onboarded that way, and I take care of that stuff very quickly. So it's usually not much of a wait. I know people are eager, and I know people want to get in, which is awesome, but this is the process. Next thing, I know that we're kind of skipping the coin voting that we did for last week. So what I would like to do is this week's submissions that came in from last week's Red Pill, I'll include whatever those were into next Red Pill, and I'll maybe do like a combination of some of the ones that got voted on the most last week and some of the ones that get voted on this week. And we'll go back to our traditional, 4 to 5 altcoins. And this concept that I'm doing right now, this live stream where I'm really focusing and dialing into some of the projects that I'm particularly interested in, if you guys enjoy this, if you actually like this style of Red Pill, then maybe we could do something where like every quarter we do one of these, like every 3 months or so, where we do a live stream and we go over like all the projects that we typically talk about. And this way it could make room for all the other podcasts we do in between, and then we won't cover these sorts of projects during those. You know what I'm saying? So like we're always covering like Cardano and Chainlink. It's like almost no point of voting on this stuff anymore. And I've thought to myself, to have the most fair system, maybe this idea would be cool to be like what I'm investing in part 1, part 2, part 3, and just do it throughout the entirety of the bull run. And then it'll be broken down into like maybe a mini playlist. I think that'd bring so much value. So let me know what you guys think about that kind of idea. This way we don't have to look at Theta token. It's no point. We're always looking at that same project over and over again. I'm going to be talking about that today. It's a coin that I've been following along for a long time. I know that a lot of people want to look at it and it gets voted on so much, so often. And yeah, it's not worth it. So this might be a better system is what I'm trying to say. Okay, let me just quickly get into some of the decoding stuff. We have a full moon coming up on November 27th. You guys are well aware of this. This full moon energy, I'm suspecting in the typical kind of 5 days before up to 5 days after. So I'm really looking at the 24th through December 1st. So what I mean with this full moon energy is that's where we would get the final moments of a pullback, and then out of a full moon into the third quarter moon, which is going to be on December 5th. Then we'll start to move up bullish pretty much. And for Bitcoin, we have to get into this Bitcoin dominance chart. I'm going to be talking about this today, because this thing just keeps respecting this trend line over and over and over again throughout the entirety of this year. So I will cover that in today's podcast. I think it'll be important because we could be seeing another surge in Bitcoin's price, and that could kick in very soon, and it'll keep altcoins not down, but just low volatility. As opposed to lately, Bitcoin had a big surge, then it's relaxed, it's gone back to that main trend line. And of course, what it does is it spills over into the altcoins. Then we have alts catch up, etc. And we'll talk about that more throughout the remainder of the year, because that's what an alt season's really all about. It's like you move up pretty quickly with Bitcoin, and then once it starts to chill out a little bit, you see this flood into the altcoins, and you have crazy, 8, 10x's happen in just a single month. So we have that full moon, and I'll be talking a little bit about this solar cycle that we've started. So we effectively started our solar cycle on the 20th of April, 420, and comparing it to this upcoming full moon, which, by the way, it's a full moon on a Monday, Moon Day, and it will also be starting naturally starting the 48th week of the year. So keep that in mind. So this is pretty interesting because, including the end date, 222 days since the start of our solar cycle. It's an important number. So naturally, the following day, which is the 28th, still sort of the full moon essence, is going to be 223 days apart from the start of our solar cycle. That's the mirror of the skull and bones number, 322. You guys have heard me say this many times. And that also happens to be the same day, leaving 33 days in the year. Ooh, sorry. I apologize. I had this banner up by mistake. Can you guys let me know if you're seeing everything clearly now? Really apologize for that. I totally forgot to turn that off. That was Logan's idea to tell me to put a banner up. I'm Patrick Star from the Stone Ages. You guys I don't even know how I got this far. All right. You guys are saying yes. I appreciate you. Thank you for being so awesome. All right. So just getting back to this, we have the start of our solar cycle moving into the full moon time frame, 223 days apart. That is your skull and bones number. And then that's the day leaving 33 days left in the year, the number of transmutation, master number, and then naturally flowing into the following day, which is going to be the 333rd day of the year, the ascended master. And this date flows into November 30th, which we've talked about a couple times, being 17 Kislev in the Hebrew calendar. This is the date I've been talking about a lot, and we need to consider these sorts of things because we have this war going on. So all the prana is sort of going to Israel right now. And I thought this was a pretty fascinating find. So just a quick recap. This was the day back in 1947 where the United Nations approved a plan for the partition of Palestine, which led to the creation of Israel. And that's really interesting because in 1947, if you go to the calendar, you can see this right here, calendar of November 1947 in Israel. And you'll see that 17 Kislev actually landed on the same exact Gregorian date So the same date in the Gregorian calendar as it does this year, which was November 30th. And let me just show you how this is important, because if I go to 1948 and we look at the date that 17 Kislev landed on, it actually landed on December 19th. Totally different. Let me show you in 1949. So 17 Kislev landed on December 8th. You see? So when it lands on the same exact day in the Gregorian and it's synced up, where you could see in November 1947, the day that this event happened on, and then you compare it to this year, 2023, you're going to see they both landed on November 30th in the Gregorian. So syncing them together, that's pretty powerful. And I'm very new to doing this, by the way. I'm going to be exploring this more. I really am enjoying studying this calendar. I would love to make my own, kind of date numerology calendar with the Hebrew system, considering their Hebrew year, like 5784, and then their number to their month, etc. I think that'd be so awesome. I would love to create something like that. But in the meantime, we have to do it the old school way. At least we have computers, though, right? I couldn't even imagine like the OG astrologers and the people that were doing all this stuff freehand. Shout out to them. Shout out to them, man. They had like a papyrus scroll and a fucking feather with ink in it. They're like mapping all this shit out. It's amazing, right? So... all right, so that date I think is going to be pretty powerful also, because it's following into the day of December 1st, naturally, December 1st. And that's the day that David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, he died on that day. You could see this kind, generous-looking, harmless man died on December 1st. Yeah, I don't mean that at all, but anyways. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting connection again, because he died in 1973. 1973 was the year that the Yom Kippur War happened, which was, we just had the 50th year anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, and here we are now. We're right back at it, war in Israel to the day. So obviously a ritual, 100%. And sadly, by the way, because that's how the apex predator plays this game. They don't care about us. They don't care about our life. They don't care if it's children or men or women. It doesn't concern them. It doesn't concern this guy, all right? Because this isn't even a guy. The consciousness that's inside of this man is not human. It's not like what you guys are. It's nothing similar at all, all right? So you guys know that this whole show, it runs on gematria, numerology, and astrology. You all know that by now. They don't care about us. So back in that time frame, I think it's pretty important to look at the significant events that happened in 1973, because we just had a perfectly synchronized ritual on the day of the start of this Israeli war. It's undeniable now. So any of you decoders out there, if you're into astrology or into any of this stuff, go back to 1972 and 1973 and look at the key events that happened. And then I think that could be very, very helpful for all of us to research into and just get better in our decoding system. And I believe I spoke with Archaics specifically about the 1972 date, and it was fascinating because I was sharing all of my notes, all of my thoughts, and I haven't spoken to him since the last time I got together with Logan and him. I don't even know. It was like 8 months ago or something. I seriously don't remember. And that was the last time I got to talk with him. And I don't watch any of his content. I just don't really have the time to. So it was cool to be able to share where I was at with a lot of stuff. And then he was confirming some events, specifically the one that was about the upcoming Summer Olympics, which was a huge find that I had. And I feel like it's going to be ritualized again. So I'll speak about that at another time, because that's all the way in July of 2024. Unnecessary to get into today. But 1972, 1973 probably has a lot of clues. So do your due diligence as decoders and look into those years. I believe you'll probably find a lot. So now, recently someone brought something to my attention about today, November 19th, 2023. And it's been spread around X.com and some influencers out there having to do with XRP like XRP influencers, have been mentioning that there's going to be some sort of thing that happens today regarding XRP and all the major banks, and it's some leaked image. It even had FedNow in the picture, the names of all the major banks. It was essentially some leaked image, and it's created conspiracy as usual. And many want to know my thoughts on that, and it's very simple. Nothing happens. Okay, so of course we'll get into the XRPTA soon, but what people need to realize when it comes to stuff like this is that it's all to distract you. So what's going to make XRP go up in values significantly is when retail investors actually step in and continue to hold, instead of FOMOing in and doing that at the worst time on a volatile day and then panic selling on a correction. People need to actually start investing in this thing. And anyone here can go look up the data on XRP and how few wallets actually hold 100,000 XRP or more. So I'm talking about 100K XRP tokens. Very few people hold that much. It's actually pretty mind-blowing. If someone has the chart that shows the breakdown of XRP wallets, please feel free to share that in our Discord. It will be illuminating for many. Now, what that means is by having just a little XRP, you're already getting pretty close to like the upper 5% or 1% of XRP holders, which is like fucking awesome, right? But it's still me proving a bigger point that like we need people to invest in this shit. That's how value goes up. You can't just sit around on Twitter all day and hope for the day that never happens. It's like, why are people still falling for this stuff? Some like flip the switch date. How many times does this have to happen? I seriously do not get it. I mean, I do get it. I get that humans are hopeful and we're optimistic, but it's like even conscious people are falling for this, like riddlers and all this mess. Like, there's no riddle needed. Just look at the chart. Look at the volume. Look at volume profile. Look at the market cap. Look at the wallet holders. That's all you got to do. There's basic on-chain data. There's no grand conspiracy here that's leading to the 3-digit XRP price. Like, what's going to make XRP go up more is if Bitcoin goes up more. Every time. What makes XRP go down is if Bitcoin goes down. Every time. Bitcoin hitting into price discovery, breaking 70,000, will lead to XRP having a big price surge. It's just all speculation based off of the speculation on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin actually has big money in it. And that's also proven on-chain data. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I'm not defending Bitcoin. I don't give a shit about any of these things. I'm just speaking truth right now. So when we get these leaked images of this type of stuff saying today's the day, and then the day comes and then nothing happens, and it's so sensationalized, you know? Like when I'm talking about dates, I'm not telling you it's the day that these things are going to go to heaven. We're looking at it holistically. As this is the day where we're more likely to have positive energy. This is the day where we're more likely to have negative energy. And then here's the chart to show you where that negative energy is most likely to lead us. That's all. So I think we just, as a community, I'm saying this today so that we could prepare ourselves for all of the distractions that are going to start coming, because it's going to get worse. If you think it was bad, right? Oof. It gets bad. It's like, it's a clown circus. I couldn't believe it. When I got into crypto initially, I was just like, this is really, it's really sad. And it motivated me actually to do what I'm doing today. It motivated me. And I hope anyone out there that sees something in the world that they don't necessarily think is truth, you should be motivated by it and inspired by it, and then start to risk sharing your truth. Like, I respect everyone who's sharing their truth, but with the XRP conspiracy stuff, it's not even about that anymore. It's just whatever these influencers could do to keep you fucking hanging on to them, you know? It's like a drug dealer. Like when the drug dealer notices that the heroin isn't working anymore, they try to find some other shit for you to just keep you coming back. And I'm like, damn, man, this isn't about learning skills. This isn't about teaching people to be better or to become self-reliant. It's teaching them to wait and wait and wait and wait for some like magical moment. It's not good. No bueno. So I know many of you here see through this stuff, but I'm just letting you know that there's going to continue to be more of it than ever. Seriously, there's going to be more of it and more of it and more of it. Get ready. Words of wisdom. So I just wanted to quickly share before we get into some of the charts, my portfolio with everyone. My current portfolio breakdown is 45% Bitcoin, so a little bit less than half of my portfolio. By the way, this is a long-term portfolio now because ever since I did my de-risking on my venture capital bag to offset my tax liability for tax loss harvesting, now I'm back into like long-term game because I know I need a year and a day from now pretty much to get into that long-term capital gains. And that's for me, by the way. You might not be an American citizen. You might not be somebody that's having to deal with this. If you live in Portugal, it probably doesn't matter. You could be a lot more flexible with this stuff, but I can't. So I don't know all the tax laws around the whole world right now. I'm sure there's many out there that just make content on just tax laws and stuff that has to do with cryptocurrency and blockchain. Go research that stuff. There's too many countries for me to follow up on this. So I'm doing my best to be transparent. This is not financial advice. I'm not telling you what you should be doing. And I don't know what's the best exchange if you live in Germany. I don't know what the capital gains tax situation is if you live in Singapore. It's just ask these questions in the Discord and people will help. That's probably the best advice I could give on this. So I'm looking at about 45% Bitcoin in my long-term portfolio, 20% XRP, which is pretty drastic compared to last cycle, and then 15% ETH. So XRP is effectively my second biggest position. Then I'm looking at a 20% venture capital bag. Maybe I could type this out for you guys. So BTC 45, XRP 20, ETH 15, and 20% VC. So that's what I'm looking at. I think this is an ideal setup for me right now, this breakdown. And the idea here with Bitcoin is some of it will be de-risked, but a lot of it's going to be long-term. I have my own theories on Bitcoin and how I'm looking at it based off of the cyclicality of Bitcoin and scarcity models and where we're headed in the world with cash, fiat in general. But I still have a very, substantial XRP position regarding where I stand on Bitcoin. So I'm able to take advantage of if anything does happen in the banking system, if anything happens with these ISO 222 tokens, etc., I'm covered there, right? And then the ETH position is obvious. It's just for balance across getting into a larger venture capital bag because venture capital is venture capital. It could go to zero, right? So I'll quickly explain what that means. Venture capital is stuff that you get into without ever looking back. You almost invest in it as if you're okay with it going completely to zero. When you look at the other part of your portfolio, so I have 45, 20, and 15. 80% of my portfolio I'm pretty confident in. Now, this is my investment thesis. I'm confident in this 80%, that it's not going to zero, that it is something that even if my TA is wrong, I can just hold and I'll be okay. Venture capital, on the other hand, is super sketchy. We don't know. We don't know what regulations will cause. We don't know what could happen with, the world stage, etc. Like this whole Bitcoin going to zero thing, come on. Right? We hear it time and time again. The whole internet would need to be shut down for this kind of stuff to happen. So I don't entertain this clownery anymore. It's been happening since the Genesis. So the same thing with XRP going up $500. It's similar in its essence of like, it's not based in truths. It's based in, it's mythology. The 15% XRP ETH position, again, sort of banking on the stability of what could go down in my venture capital bag. This venture capital stuff is stuff that I believe could actually go to zero. I just don't know. I don't. but I'm still going to do my best to pick positions that I think are likely to stay, likely to not be faced with huge regulation. But I mean, shit, we saw XRP get hit with stuff by the court during a bull run, and it did not create price discovery for XRP. So even all the XRP theories go away here. You know, you can't go to court with Bitcoin. It's just impossible. So you could do this kind of stuff with ETH for sure, with Vitalik. And if the problem with ETH is if Vitalik got killed or something happened to him, well, then that's going to affect their company directly. He's kind of looked at as the Steve Jobs or he's just the CEO kind of role. That's what he's looked at as. He's the face behind the operation. So that really hurts in that way. Anyways, smart contracts are here to stay. There's nothing, scalability and all this stuff that people complain about in ETH 2.0, it's irrelevant for me with my investment thesis. I look at the tokenization of the stock market is going to be happening. And if it's going to happen, it's most likely happening on ETH. And my own theory is the reason why ETH is so slow and there's problems with it, scalability and just issues in general, is because the apex predator wants to use it for themselves. Vitalik is one of them too. He has his own handlers. So I hope this helps people get kind of my mindset on this whole thing and why I'm treating venture capital as stuff that could go to zero. And I'm okay with venture capital being somewhere between 5 to 15 positions, but I think simplicity is better. So if you could keep it below 10 overall positions, that's nice. And if we're talking a 20% position, then you're really breaking it down between 2 to 5% per position. I think that would be the better way to go about it. Unless you want to have stuff like a very large position, and I'll give an example, right? XLM, because you want to hedge what could happen with XRP. Like, I don't know. If you want to do that, that's fine. But then you start taking away from the other things that could be more balancing. And in my opinion, XLM is not necessary to even get involved in because XRP is going to move more probably, and every time XRP moves up or down, we see XLM move up or down. We even saw the XLM bull run. It never really went into price discovery either without the SEC coming after them. So we could see very clearly here, this is your bull run of 2017, this followed by a very large correction of 97%, and then it had a lower high. It never went into a price discovery. Now, we could ask ourselves, why? Why does that make any sense? Stellar Lumens wasn't under the scrutiny of the SEC. So you see the issue here? Like, I'm not saying that XLM is a bad investment. I'm just giving you some things to chew on right now. And I'm probably going to get some XLM, maybe like a 2.5% position. I'm not sure. I'll think about that more as we move on. But the fun thing about venture capital is I'm not in a rush. I'm really not. When it comes to venture capital, I'm okay with waiting all the way until the Bitcoin halving. So there's no need to FOMO in. There's no real reason for me to get like worried about, are we at the bottom? Or because with venture capital, you can see stuff go up 5,000, 10,000%. You understand? So there's no need to be like ripping your hair out over this stuff. Again, I hope this kind of stuff helps people. So regarding the timing of things, now that I've brought this up, I've finalized my accumulation on Bitcoin and Ethereum already. I did that during the last solar eclipse. I got in on Bitcoin right before it hit 27K, so I'm in a pretty good position with that. And then I was already accumulating Bitcoin back in March. Now, I'm almost finished with my XRP accumulation, and we are seeing XRP get up to 62 cents today. I sent out multiple messages to the community talking about the sub 60 cent area. I hope everyone, got those updates and see it for what it is now. Those were pretty solid entries given the fact that it only went to 58.6. I will be talking about XRP more in a moment, but I have my final limit orders on XRP between 56 and 57 cents in case we swipe down to the 34 exponential moving average on the 3-day chart. I've been talking about this a lot lately, so everyone should be well aware. And of course, I'll be going over the chart a little bit later. Then after I finish my final accumulation on XRP, all that's left for me is to build that venture capital bag I was telling you about. So now let's get into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, and then I'll dive into the main projects I'm looking at for my venture capital bag. We have a lot of charts to cover today, and I still want to make sure to spend as much time with you as possible, connecting at the end in the live chat. So let's get into this. So we have, by the way, it's Sunday. The stock market is closed. So whatever's happening right now, don't take it so seriously. We could be seeing the market open a little bit later tonight. Obviously, all of the indices will open tomorrow at around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right now, we're seeing a little bit of bullish energy. We got this Twin Towers candle the other day, which is really funny because I brought it up in my last YouTube video that could be a possibility. It's actually what happened. But generally, Bitcoin is doing very well right now. Just continuous higher highs, higher lows on most daily candles, holding structure. And it's been following this pattern that is very flag-like, but I'm not even going to entertain these patterns at this time because it's unnecessary. We are just in the process of a breakout, and Bitcoin tends to have these sorts of movements up where it chops, and then we do get little, I don't think we might have as deep of any of these types of corrections lately, but this is the style of Bitcoin's breakout. It likes to just get choppy, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows in a very micro sense. And that's very hard for traders, and that's very hard for investors, because investors are waiting for real big moves to the downside to get in, or big moves to the upside to get out. And traders are just sort of stuck in this tight little range. So that's why it gets like this sometimes. It gets very awkward. And it takes until a big player comes in to move the market. But right now, they're just letting us play. I hope this makes sense. Just 1 second. I'm going to grab some water real quick. All right. So the last thing that I shared with you guys was about this lunar eclipse. I'm not going to be going over that today. We already talked about it, the lunar eclipse level of 34K, and how in the following full moon we typically close higher. So you guys should know by now, it's more than likely that we close over 35K into the end of this month, at least over 34K, at least. That's what's expected based on all iterations of these solar cycles. So let's just do some typical technical analysis. We're not going to look at the monthly. Let's look at the bi-weekly and see if we got anything going on here. Okay, so we do have a bi-weekly tonight. That's important. I'm going to be turning off the noise, bringing up some moving averages. Look at the Bollinger Bands real quick. Ooh, all right. I'm glad that I brought that up. So we're looking at the bi-weekly candles because today is a bi-weekly close. Very important. And we closed above the topside band in the last bi-weekly, and we're looking pretty damn good today. So we're surfing this topside band, which is bullish as shit. And we have this median moving average moving up, pretty nice slope to the upside in a bullish posture. And it's about to clear this resistance level of 28. Do you see where this little red moving average is right there? If I hold my cursor right at it and you look to the left, you see all these candles that we got rejected at. Well, we're about to pass above that. And that's something that new analysts need to consider when you're looking at charts. Always look at where the moving averages are catching up to, whether they're sloping above and where they're sloping below, because that'll tell you if we get any moves gravitating back to that moving average, will it keep you in structure, bullish or bearish? Okay, it's a little pro tip. Okay, I'm going to turn off these Bollinger Bands, look at where our EMAs are. All right, on the bi-weekly, we're doing incredible because we have all of our EMAs now effectively in bullish posture. So we have this 13 above the 21 above the 34, check, check, check. We have our RSI into 66. It's getting very close to overbought. Obviously, overbought in crypto is much, much higher than the 70 level, but I'm just speaking generally right now. And then we have MACD looking gorgeous. So nothing bearish here, as expected after a second solar eclipse. Let's look at our ooh-wee. All right, well, we're about to have the 8 cross above the 55, which you all know is the wolf cross. It's a very powerful cross, and whenever we get that, we do typically have a surge to the upside at this phase of the bull run. And I got to share something with you guys because I keep getting this question. First of all, I do believe that the halving plays a very large role in Bitcoin, but I believe the people, the entities that program this halving to happen in the sequence, in the fashion that it happens in, was an astrologer. That's my truth. The people that just flat out disregard the halving, that's okay, but I think they should really check in with their ego when it comes to the astrological significance. So I would always prioritize gematria, numerology, astrology, and that's what I think whoever coded this shit knew about. Then they use this exoteric thing called the halving. You feel me? So that's where I stand on this, because a lot of people have been coming to me lately where they're like hearing me talk about the halving and they're calling me wrong or saying that, this other analyst said that it doesn't, this is my art. It'd be like walking up to, Picasso and being like, this doesn't look like Van Gogh. It's like, yeah, because I'm fucking Pablo Picasso. Like, what are you saying right now? But this is the way we get treated as technical analysts. It's like the people who watch it, they always want us to all agree. And my biggest thing that I've been sharing with the world since I got started here is that this market is running on a code, and this code is based in something esoteric. And that's important to be aware of. And that's why a lot of you are here right now, because we're talking about something that is not typical. It's not the average way of looking at the market. And, well, that's why we're able to time things. That's why we're able to see certain price targets happen at certain dates. It's where we're able to determine bear markets, bull markets. And this is what's very helpful for us, to be in position. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it does require patience, but it also removes a lot of your anxiety when you have awareness. Because you just know now. You're not in the fog. You're not lost in the, So anyways, getting back to this, some people have been asking me lately about my thoughts on Bitcoin in the short term. And I do believe that the halving plays a huge role in it. And I do believe that this upcoming solar eclipse on April 8th of 2024 is going to be incredibly powerful. And I do believe that we're going to have an event on the world stage, a ritual that happens on April 15th of this upcoming year. It's probably going to be fire related, like a fire ritual, but it will always deal with air because we're moving into Aquarius. But my truth here is that means that Bitcoin is most likely to surge into late March, into April eclipse, and then probably have a pretty dramatic pullback. So I think Bitcoin before, and I'm giving people away the fucking sauce right now. Like, this is really like ahead of time information. This would be like when I was telling you about how the Jubilee would go, like 6 months before we even started the Jubilee. Or telling you about the effect of the end of a Shemitah, the year of starting the Shemitah. Anyone remembers that? I was on the interview with Coach JV over at 3T War Academy. I was telling him the end of a Shemitah is probably going to be the bottom of this market. That we saw how that went. So I'm giving you this information very far in advance, not because I want to predict anything, but because I want to give it to you guys so that you can do what you do best, which is backtest it all, find what I'm missing, find my missing link. I want to be wrong. I don't want to be right. I want to find the flaw in my theory. This is always my way. And what better way to do it than with all of you amazing people? So I believe the market's going to move, Bitcoin's going to move up into about April, followed by a big correction. That big correction, 20, maybe 30%, I'm not sure. It's going to shake up the market. People are going to be like, the bull market's over. They're going to be fucking selling everything. They're going to be selling after the correction. And that's when I think we're going to see some of the most crazy behind the scenes shit go down with BlackRock and all of these big money makers. They're going to be buying up all of that Bitcoin. And then the next thing you know it, maybe 50 days later, 2 months later, we're going to see a huge move to the upside in Bitcoin. So it's going to be an organized event, but I think that it will all be tied to that eclipse that's coming up, that solar eclipse. So the move here could be like somewhere between 48, 47, 51K, like pretty much there. And I've already taught you guys this. That has everything to do with the golden pocket. The 618 to 786 fib. I don't know if Bitcoin will have the juice to make it up to the 888 fib. Altcoins might, but Bitcoin not. So what this is going to cause, in my opinion, is another late cycle opportunity for altcoins. So something like Bitcoin moving up into, this golden pocket, the 702, like between the 702 and 786, if I needed to get specific, like 44 to 49, that'd be like really dialing it in. If you look right here, I feel like that's important. This level, and remember, this is so important, family. What have I been teaching you about Satoshi Nakamoto's birthday? I've been saying this time and time again. Back here, when Satoshi turned 47, on Satoshi's 47th birthday, was the last time Bitcoin ever traded at 47,000. You can't make this shit up. Then during his 47th year of age, which was all the way around here, 47 is your 15th prime number. Bitcoin's lowest price it ever went was $15,000 during Satoshi's 47th year of age. Then we've moved up since. So I think we're going to gravitate into Satoshi's next birthday, which is perfect because it's 3 days before the solar eclipse. And he will turn 49 years old. So I would not be surprised if that 49 number comes into play here, because we've seen it happen many times. So 49K Bitcoin sometime in early April would make a lot of sense, followed by a pretty dramatic correction around the next halving, which is speculated to be somewhere maybe second, third week of April. It should happen in the month of April. So this is perfectly aligned. We have Satoshi's 49th birthday. We have a solar eclipse. And then we have the halving. Geez, that's a lot of energy. So again, I think the people who programmed out these halvings were astrologers. They knew it. They knew how this would go in the future. And it's up to us to decipher it. It's like the fucking Da Vinci Code or something. So needless to say, I think that that's important to get out early, because if anyone, I don't ever want to say the word struggle, all right? And I hope you guys, this is the unsexy Waters Above right now. I'm getting it, I sound like a grandpa telling you how to speak. But I never want you guys to think that you're struggling, that you don't have enough money, that you don't have enough of this. Never speak that way. Always speak in abundance. Always speak with confidence about wealth and where you're at with that, all right? So I'm just letting you know that there's probably going to be another really solid opportunity for altcoins in April, May, June, all right? So if you're not as happy with where you're at with your portfolio today, don't worry. Just take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. There's plenty of opportunities to come, family. And that right there, I teach this in my work, will be called the end of SOS into a backup phase. The backup phase is the last and pretty much best time to get heavily invested, because it's the least amount of time you have to wait. That's really awesome. So you get to have the least amount of time to get the most result, right? Anyways, 1 second. All right. So I'm sharing this now because with that jump up, that, what would that be? Let me see real quick. It'll be about 30% from where we are today, which means that there's not so much opportunity left in ROI for getting into Bitcoin at this stage between now and the real bull run time where we go into price discovery. So some people might be wondering, what do I think about with Bitcoin going lower? The only real thing I could sense is that we either have a black swan event, which is always in the cards, or we have a typical back test on the 0.5 fib. So the 0.5 fib sits around 33,000. That could be in the cards. Bitcoin can absolutely go up to 50K or 47, 48K and come back down to 30, 33. It's just these first 3 or 4 months after the start of the solar eclipse that Bitcoin continues to make higher lows on every full moon. And that could extend all the way out 100 days or so. And I'll get into those specifics at another time, but I just wanted to bring that up because we're more likely just moving up to this high 40s over the next, the end of this year and into Q1. Perhaps by the end of this year, we could tap on 40K. It doesn't even matter though. Who cares? It's only a little jolt from here and there. The same thing with any pullbacks down to this 35 or 33K area. It's nothing. Bitcoin moves 10% all the time. So these are just little itsy bitsy moves in the grand scheme of things. All right, so we've pretty much concluded our analysis on Bitcoin. It's looking very bullish. We have all moving averages looking in a bullish posture. Now, one thing to mention for a short-term pullback, and I'm talking super short-term, is this right here. We've started to see Bitcoin has effectively finally closed under the 8 simple moving average. Now, today we're getting back above it, but we've held on this 21 after a bounce. I've warned about this 21 EMA. Go watch my last couple of Red Pill podcasts. You hear me talk about this all the time. If we broke below the 21 EMA, then a test on the 34 is likely, and we've seen that happen quite a bit on Bitcoin. So let me just look at this year, for instance. You see how once we started to break the 8 simple, we gravitated to this red moving average, okay? Here, once we got below the 8 simple, we gravitated to this red moving average. Here, once we broke the 8 simple, in a very similar fashion to what we had just now, we come back to the 34 exponential moving average. Here, we've had this same case there, but you guys are probably thinking, well, Waters, we didn't only come back down there, we went lower. Now, I want you to look at how the relationship with the 34 EMA is. You're going to see a pattern. Look here. The day we broke below the 34 EMA, big red candle straight into the 55. The day that we broke below the 34 EMA, big red candle, pretty much traded sideways to the 55. Here, the same thing. When we broke below this 34 EMA, big red candle perfectly bounced on the 55 simple. The difference is, though, is that we've been just chopping and chopping and chopping in what's called phase 1 of a bull run. We're effectively in phase 2 now because we broke above a horizontal resistance that we were struggling with. Here, we were at this level, 2 rejections, like a double top. We finally broke above it, and then we had 2 back tests, and this really sent us into what I would consider a confidence in a bull run. When we have rejection, back test, obvious confirmation of a support. This is huge, all right? So entertaining sub 25K Bitcoin and lower is kind of tough right now, just because of this structure and how we've already back tested this over the course of 400 days. This isn't short term. This is pretty long when you're thinking about crypto, trading 24/7, 365. So at best, a 382 test in the future, but that'd be a big drop. That would be like you black swan kind of stuff, especially as Bitcoin gets more mature. It's less volatile to the downside and to the upside. It doesn't have as big of dramatic swings. So I just want you to look at the relationship with the 34 and how we could be in the process of changing that relationship for now and still coming down to it for a back test plus a bounce. I'm going to look at the Bitcoin dominance really quickly because it kind of helps the theory of if Bitcoin's going to head up to 40K in the short term. I want you to look at what we've been doing. So every time we keep bouncing on this major trend line, and then we have a pretty substantial move to the upside. So here we have a move of 7%. Here we have about 9%. Here we have about 13, very big move. And then here we've had 11. If I wanted to entertain this, still about 10%. So we're seeing 10%-ish moves on this bounce. And then if we were to make it up to this 1618, the golden ratio, that would be a 8% move. So that's within what we typically do. Now, what's fascinating about this is a horizontal range that's been in play for 845 days, and Bitcoin's effectively broken out of it. So, sorry, I'm taking up the screen here. That's big, and the big level that we typically move up to is obviously the golden ratio, the 1618, which that would be an indicator of Bitcoin probably moving to like the 40K region initially, and then altcoins chilling out for a moment. And then once it dips back, alts will get a mini run, rinse, repeat. And I think this energy will last up until April. So we'll have many mini cycles of movement, slowly kind of choppy to the upside. That's what Bitcoin and this market is prone to. All right. We're going to look at ETH. Not a whole lot to say here because it's just the Bitcoin show right now. And we've had this kind of weird triple toppy essence happen. So we have this one rejection here at 2066. We had the start of our solar cycle rejection and then again, another rejection. So in the short term, I suspect there is an opportunity. If Bitcoin was to move down into that like 33K, 34K territory, we could see an $1,800 ETH again, so 1,800. That's this little choppy level of support here, and we've seen a couple of tests over and over again. This is a very normal hangout area for ETH, 1,800. We really need to get above this 0.5 fib though. That's continuously rejected, which is not nice. But ETH looking pretty strong right now, off of ETF news and all that mess. Still couldn't get it above its rejection level. And that rejection level is not short term. We're looking at 450 days. So the ETH party really gets going typically after Bitcoin starts to get closer to the golden pocket territory. Keep that in mind. So I guess if a 40K Bitcoin happens, we could still be, because of Bitcoin dominance, we could still be below 2,200 ETH. Consider that. And then after Bitcoin gets into like the 43, 44, 45, that's when I think ETH will start moving up into like the 702 area, like $2,500, $2,700. Okay, now we have to get into XRP. This is a little bit more important. I have this fractal here, and this fractal I pulled from this moment over there. We've talked about this already several times. It has everything to do with this 3-day chart and this 2-day chart, specifically the 2-day chart with the 55 simple moving average and its relationship to the 200 moving average. Now, if we were to scale this fractal and look at what we've been doing so far, this shows me that tomorrow, 2 days from now, and then again about the very early part of December, we'd be looking at 61 cents is about as good as it gets. And that might literally be the case, that this area we're in now, those swipes down to 58 a couple of days ago, which wasn't a single day. It happened over the course of like, I think 3 straight days. That might be it. That might be as low as XRP gets for right now. So I've told people about this. Don't get too greedy on this moment. It's why I took action personally. I've done already 2 buy orders because I don't play around with this market. It could go very bullish very quick. Nobody's expecting it. I mean, we've just gotten pretty freaking close to the accuracy on not only the days that it will move down, but the prices that it tends to head back to based off of moving averages. So if I turn this fractal off, we can see that Bitcoin has, XRP, has effectively backtested this trend line that we were paying attention to, which has been a support before we had this blast off moment. Then we gravitated back to it, started treating it as a resistance, and now lately we are touching back on it. So that's crucial, this as a support line instead of what was a short-term rejection. And the structure of all of this is pretty similar too. So one of the things that I've thought about is how we can actually have, leading into the first couple of days of the new year, we could have $1 XRP. And the next big move for XRP would make sense into the overall golden pocket, somewhere around $1.10, $1.20. By the way, I have a post over on what I'm buying, what I'm selling about these $1 XRP orders. I'm going to cancel those. I just had them up there initially. I'm going to remove those because for me, I think the next move that I'm personally entertaining is Bitcoin going up into this like 50K, 47, 50K area that I talked about a little bit ago. When it does that, I think we should be seeing XRP back at actually, we could see XRP above $2. And I've had some people get confused about what I've shared on my outlook on XRP about price discovery versus double digits. These two things have gotten confusing. So what I feel for like Q4 of 2024 moving into Q1 is double digit XRP. What I feel for potentially moving into March, April of 2024 is that we could start retesting prior all-time highs. So we can jump from $2 to $3 pretty quickly given what's going on in the overall market. I feel like we have the opportunity to get above $2 by April, depending on what happens of course. So that's not me saying double digits. I feel that we're heading into the $15, $25-ish range, but that's going to take some time. That's going to take until Bitcoin is breaking into new all-time highs, most likely a year from today at least. But that's why I'm going to close out those $1 orders, because I don't want to take profits that early. That's not the move. I would rather wait. And once we start getting into 2, 3-ish, I'll reassess. But in the short term, we've already talked about everything. I've given out all the updates on XRP, so you guys should be pretty caught up on this. I'm going to look at the daily. So we're below the 8 simple moving average on the daily, and that's crucial because we've rode above it until we started to get these bigger rejections. And that means that you don't really want to get flipping, and you don't want to flip bullish bias just yet until we start clearing this 8 simple. And in the meantime, we have started to close below the 21 EMA and holding on the 34. So if we closed a daily below the 34, that could absolutely swipe us down into the 56, 57 target. That's typically how it goes. And with these all starting to slope to the downside, that's kind of where we're at right now with this. The 21 rejection tonight, I think, is going to be a sign. So again, we have like about 7-8 days to go to the full moon. We got to let this ride out. I'm keeping my orders open. And if we start pivoting out of the new moon, out of the full moon, and we're still at 62, 63, then I'll just go in and place the orders anyways. Again, for me, not really a huge difference between 57 and 63, 8% when we're talking about a potential $2, $3 XRP, even as early as April of 2024. It's like, I'm not going to lose sleep over this. All right. Let's get into a couple of projects here. We have number one, VeChain. This is a project that I've been looking into for quite a while. It's still heavily discounted, but above the C19 levels. So for me, that's a good sign. We had our prior automatic rally on everything else, led to another sharp sell-off. Here was your C19 spring. Then you have your SOS phase and then your backup phase. And what I like about this total correction that's happened and where it's led us to on VeChain is it's holding this key level of the backup phase and the SOS. That's what we see sometimes. And when we have a really, really harsh and hellish bear market, we've been seeing stuff trade as low as the C19 levels. That's not the case for VeChain. And there's still quite a bright future in VeChain. Needless to say, it's still venture capital. This is not something you want to be having 20% of your portfolio in. This is play money. We have fun with it. One of the things to consider is from where it's trading at right now to the all-time high, it would be a 10x. So that's really a lot of opportunity. A couple things to mention too is that we have this trend line. I'm going to turn off all these moving averages. We have this trend line that's been in place since the all-time high, a big rejection here, which led to continuation, then again, and then we rode on the underside of this for about 75 days, and then traded on the outside of it for about almost 2 months before popping. So I think we've effectively cleared this trend line, and now we're moving into this next big rejection zone, which is a horizontal outlook. I always prefer horizontal when it comes to my trading ranges. It's more the Wyckoff method style, and it's what's benefited me most. So we have this rejection here, we have this rejection here, 3 times a charm, and it's slightly above the 236, so it's something to entertain. Second, I think it would probably be better for me to lift this to here and not consider the fib starting at this area, because our 236 is in alignment with that, and that's telling me that if we can clear this 236, we're going to start heading into automatic rally essence, and that is about the 0.5 to 0.618 usually. We have this level right there. I'm going to draw a marker to show you where the automatic rally would most likely go to these 2 zones. So I'm going to change these colors to make it to not be so complicated for our eyes. So what this means is if Bitcoin was to head into this like 50K zone, that could literally be where this goes next. And we've seen this just happen with Chainlink. We saw this just happen with Solana. So we can have automatic rallies happening for altcoins, speculative altcoins at different times. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, what that leads to could be, a rejection coming down to retest this zone here. So it would be something like a 60% pullback. If Bitcoin wants to have a 20 or 30% pullback in May, well, then you could be looking for a 60% pullback in a lot of altcoins, and that would be your opportunity. Now, but what does that look like? That means that today you would effectively be getting in at a better price. So that's why for me, I'm starting to build my venture capital bag ASAP. It's going to be pretty much into the end of this month, into the next month. Of course, I think it's better to get in earlier than to wait. But for those of you that are still in your process of dollar cost averaging, or perhaps you're just getting into crypto now and you want to do it the right way, be patient, do it the right way. My exit strategy blueprint that's included in my crypto mastermind course could be very effective in you kind of figuring out some of the numbers here, because that whole course will teach you everything you need to know about that. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you guys get the best discount on that right now because of Black Friday, Patreon Black Friday promo code, and that stuff's in the description. It's probably important now more than ever when it comes to being prepared for these moves. So I would rather get in now at these levels before we reach our first resistance target. And then considering I could have a 350% move, that's not bad for a short-term de-risk, even having to pay capital gains on it. Getting back in the backup phase, playing that move is rough. It's not easy, but that's essentially what we just did with XRP. So think about what we just did with XRP, family. We were talking about buying in around 30 cents, and then we sold around the 80 to 90 cent level when we had that first initial jump with the SEC case. Then I sold, and then I bought back in. Like, that's all you're doing here. You're playing the swings. It's obviously very fancy. I don't recommend everyone do it, but if you have your own investment thesis and it's making sense to you and it's aligning with your hard work that you've been doing, then shit, it's your money. And this is just a way to accumulate a lot more tokens. And then when we have the real bull run, all of those extra tokens are going to count, because we could see this thing potentially go into the 40 cent, 60 cent, maybe even hit $1. And we'll talk about price discovery in the future. But yeah, for me right now, I like this blue line that's sitting right here. If we were to get a small pullback to that area, or we'll just call it around slightly below 2 cents, that'll be another accumulation opportunity. Included in that list is VTHO, just to take advantage of the swings on VeChain, of course. And with VTHO, you can see we got about a 2,000% gain to prior all-time highs. It's something like if you were to have a 5% position in VeChain, I would do like a 4% position in VeChain and a 1% in VTHO, or do like a 4% in VeChain and do a 1%, or sorry, a 2% in VTHO. This way you're keeping your overall position closer to 5%, like nothing over 8 to 10% when it comes to these venture capital plays. I hope that makes sense. What that means in plain English is 2 to 3% in stuff like these governance tokens is never a bad idea, because you could ride the wave of where everything else is going. And then we're going to be getting into Hedera, H-bar. This is another one that I'm looking at. I like this trend line that we've identified. So we have here our prices about 500% from the absolute lows. We have March 2020 area around the C19 moment. We're trading effectively about 100% above that. So not phenomenal, but it's way better than trading below it, like what we're seeing with the, I think it's the Algorand chart. Yeah. So look at this. This is your C19 moment. This is where Algorand's trading right now. It's trading lower than where it crashed on C19. That's no bueno. Look at the IOTA chart. We're seeing that it's trading at the same levels, right? So that doesn't make me feel super confident in this stuff. H-bar, on the other hand, we're facing this crucial trend line that we're looking to break through, and it's in alignment with the 236. I like that, because once we get above the 382, that's where we could really confirm an automatic rally. And this is posed to have that occur probably by Q1. In the meantime, we are rejecting at this trend line again. So we have 1, 2, 3 times a charm. Coming back down to maybe 5 cents would be a gift. I don't know if that's in the cards right now. We would need a bigger correction with the overall crypto market, and I wouldn't be banking too much on that. So let me see. Yeah, I mean, those 200s are good. I mean, anything around 5 cents, which is pretty much where we're at, is solid. And then about a 400% gain into this golden pocket. Good time to de-risk a little, especially if it's timed with that first initial pulse in Bitcoin. So looking pretty good right now. I like these rejections. It's a very clean trend line. It's in alignment with the 236. So this all adds up to opportunity. It's undervalued. You're going to see that's the theme here with what I'm talking about. I'm looking at undervalued. Okay, now we're looking at Theta. Theta had a moment of getting a little bit bullish, but it came right back to a very important trend line, which looks similar to the one that we were just discussing. Now, we have this major trend line that was in play. You can see the rejection, and then again coming back up to it and now riding on the outside of it. And ever since we got through August, we had this sideways moment pretty damn low, like 50 cent Theta. That's crazy. We're up 100% since, we're up about 60% since. But from this move that we had, we moved up quite quickly, and we've seen this before. So I just want to show you that we've seen an 80% move to this trend line rejection before. We've seen here recently this wick doesn't even count. It's pretty much the same move that we got here between the start of the year and into February. I like that we're above it though, but still what matters most is the Fibonacci retracement levels and getting above that 236. So this is still supremely undervalued. By the way, this is your C19 crash. So Theta is trading 1,300% above it, looking way better than what I just showed you with IOTA and Algorand. So it gives you the zooming out. The zooming out is needed sometimes. You can see this whole horizontal trading range and where Theta is up literally almost a 10x from that horizontal trading range from the past. So it's showing strength in that regard. Did have a crazy bull run and a really big correction, but that's to be expected when a bull run is so parabolic. 26,000% in a year, just a straight line breakout. So I like getting into stuff below the 236. That's typically ideal. Keep that in mind. Naturally, the T-Fuel position would be the same theory as the VTHO position compared to VChain. I had fun with some trend lines here going to the past all-time high, which looked like a crown top distribution, and then it broke below, and then it's rayed out. So I have it like happening like a ray, and you can see that we've effectively backtested it as it's reached an apex, sort of. It's not the technical term, but you get what I'm saying. With this ray all colliding into the center, we've gravitated perfectly to it, and we've had a bounce. And then I have this long-term trend line that I'm looking at. Does look pretty good. We had all of this backup phase over here before we went parabolic. Then we gravitated back to it. Broke it, rejected, and now we're rejected again. So I think this white trend line is key for us to get above. And if we can get above that, in sync with the 236, then that should lead to some pretty explosive moves for T-Fuel. Of course, that'll be in harmony with Theta. And the same idea that I was sharing before, if you're going to have a 5% overall position in Theta, nothing wrong with doing 4% Theta and then going with 1% T-Fuel or 2% T-Fuel. Kind of keep it below the overall 8% between both of them, and you'd be pretty solid. Also, with such small positions in these sorts of projects, there's nothing wrong with just buying and holding for long periods of time because it's such a small position. Okay, we're looking at Zilliqa. Zilliqa has a very awkward looking chart because we had this one moment here. Some of you in the community might remember that if you were here with us back in April of 2022, because I was able to de-risk during this surge, and it was pretty epic because it happened in my sleep. I had a limit order set and it triggered it within like a fraction of a penny, and I couldn't believe it. But anyways, ever since then, it's made the chart look a little awkward, but we did have this sort of descending wedge deal. And we back tested effectively, but still, this horizontal trend line is so much more important. I'm going to make this trend line or array go across the whole screen so you can see how important it really is. So bull run of 2018, alt season, come back down to this major line. Once we broke below it, it was hell to Hades right there. Huge correction. C19 crash, by the way. Today we're up about 500% from there. So not anything too crazy, but still a lot better than some other charts we've seen. Then we've gravitated back to this line again and lately again, and we've been riding on it for a while now. So Zilliqa is still like in its best sort of area to accumulate, in my opinion, but it's very boring right now. This is one of those projects that once we go into alt season, then we have some fun. You can see here we got about 1,400% off of this jump, and from measuring in the C19 area to this top about 7,000%. So that's pretty damn good. But look at how explosive it is. It could go 500% in 2 weeks. So this is one of those that you definitely want to take action on. And with that being said, that's why you need to have limit orders set. You need to just be really dialed in when it comes to holding these venture capital plays, because they move fast. So consider this 0.36 level and under ideal. For me, it's always below the 236 fib is what I really like. And we've identified this horizontal level also of a rejection point at 0.24. We've effectively come up in there recently. I'm going to lower that. And we're within that level. So I think once we get relief above that 236, again, like most projects, we'll see a little bit of a surge, most likely into Q1, Q2. In the meantime, though, getting below 2 cents is definitely in the cards. So this makes it easy because VeChain and VeChain and Zilliqa typically trade at similar prices. So that gives us the opportunity to consider that. They're going to be pretty much moving in sync. All of these projects I'm going over right now are pretty much going to move down on similar days. Now we're on Cardano. Cardano trading below its 236, so also in an opportunity zone. Compared to the C19 crash, we're up a 10x, so that's looking a lot better than some other things. So again, boosting confidence. I like that. Also, if I was to pull the long-term fib, so the fib from the last bull run, from the swing high to the swing low, and you see where we're trading at now, we're effectively at the 702. And if you look at the bottom of our market over here, our recent bear market for Cardano, we were just trading at the bottom of the golden pocket. Do you understand how bullish that is in the long term? That's incredibly bullish. So that means you've broken up and now you're back testing one of the key areas in the macro. This means that we could be seeing the 1618 of this pull on the next cycle, which is $18 fucking. This shit's at 38 cents right now. Yeah, so that could be a 4,000% gain on Cardano. And by the way, family, these gains are not going to be like I don't really think we're going to see as many 10,000+% movers in the next cycle. We will have them, but they'll be like shitcoin meme coins that go up and then crash to zero, which is also what happened in the last cycle. But I don't think we're going to see as many of these bigger cap coins making those types of moves. So 4,000 to 5,000% on a top 10 market cap crypto is very crazy. Like people should be... I want you to look at a 4,000% the way that we used to look at a 10,000%, because that's how it goes over time. These things get more mature and they lose their essence of speculation. You know, as it gets more popular, actually, it actually has less ROI. I know that's kind of weird, but when it's mysterious and unknown and people think it's a scam, that's when there's the most money to make on it, but then there's also the most money to lose. So when you think of ROI, when it's mysterious and unknown, that's really the best. But when it starts to become a household name and popular, that's when it could kind of get a little, normalized, as they say. So, I mean, that's why Cardano is on my radar, because it's developed since the last bull run regarding the chart. As for the technology and as for the updates, it's all kind of dog shit. It's not the best blockchain by any means. I'm not even a supporter of blockchain. I'm just here to do what you guys do, here to take advantage of the swings, convert this wealth into purpose in other places, in places that matter more to me. So, with this whole chart perspective only, it's been a very safe place for me. It's less emotional, and it takes away, it's less time invested, because I don't care about the white paper and all the partners that are working behind. It's just, it doesn't matter to me. It's never mattered, and I don't think it ever will matter. At the end of the day, what moves this market is esoterica. So ADA for me, I feel still isn't an opportunity zone. This chart's looking pretty damn good considering where it used to be to where it is today. The bull run structure almost looks identical to the last time. I think the next big move we're making is the one that looks like this, which will be up to the 0.5 fib, and then it'll be timed with a rejection back up to the 382, just like I explained with Bitcoin. And that would be like getting in now, moving up to about 89 cents to $1.15-ish, and then coming back to about 60 cents. So given that we're below 60 cents right now, we are in a very good opportunity zone. And then when you look at it from a total bull run perspective, I mean, damn. This thing could literally be going up to the $15 to $18 range. Another reason why I'm pretty confident in XRP going to $25-ish, because if this is the standard outlook for Cardano, it's pretty much in alignment with what I see happening for XRP. Now we have to see with Cardano in the next cycle what's going to happen. We have to see. I wouldn't be banking on $18 or $15. It's just technically it's the kind of move that happens. We have to see. I think there was too much memery in the last cycle for this thing to really move the way that it could have. But all the memery started to take over, and then this other stuff that's held by bigger money, didn't. Anyways, we'll move on. Just my theories. We're looking at Chainlink. Chainlink has already started the move that I'm talking about, which is this. You're trapped sideways, and then once you get above the 236, it's just boom, straight to the 0.5, and then a rejection. So we'll see if this one has the juice to make it up to the 618, and then it rolls over, or if this thing's just going to rally up. But we see here in the last cycle, this horizontal trading range, we made it all the way up to the 618, and then we broke below the 236 coming back. That's pretty rough. So that would be like if we went all the way up to 20, and then like I kind of gave this example, and then we broke back down to 7. It's possible. Why not? But that would be pretty dramatic for people, given the timing of this whole thing. And also look at the timing of the year this happened. It's November 18th of 2018. We're in November right now. It literally November 15th. So I don't know if this shit rolls over and goes below 10 again. That would be an amazing opportunity. And literally look at what that leads to. A surge of 2,000%, and then I don't know if that'll do this again, but overall 25,000%. So we know this thing's a mover. 25,000%, and then look at where the C19 crash was compared to this horizontal level, about 200% above, and then where we are today is about 500%. So looking pretty good. And this was one of the best performing coins in the bear market of 2018. Between the bear market of 2018 into 2019. So props to Chainlink for being what it was at that time. So getting back into this, I'm feeling pretty good about Chainlink, but it's a little overheated. It needs a pullback. It needs a pullback. 1 second, family. Yeah, take a sip of some water. So let's look at some moving averages. Oof. Okay. Well, this is important. You could see where our 55 and our 200s are sitting right around the 236. So if this thing was to come back pretty dramatically, that wouldn't be weird. Okay. So in the short term, we're trading below the 8 simple now. We've come back to the 21. We haven't really tested the 34. That's very normal. So we'll see how this goes today. This could actually be like a micro bull trap that plays out where we make it into this 1540 area. Or we're just getting rejected at the 0.5, and then it becomes a dead cat bounce. So the dead cat bounce, I would identify moving to about 11 in the short term, and that's perfectly on par with what we saw here, which is about 14 days of sideways before we moved up again. So That wouldn't be weird either. That would be more short-term analysis, though. I think getting in below the 382 is all a gift. But this thing moved up a little fast, a little too parabolic too quickly. So I'm going to keep this one on my radar, but I'm not looking to FOMO in at all. I could care less about that this time. I'll wait. I'll wait and wait and wait. There's plenty of other opportunities. That's the one thing you learn after you spend a lot of time in this market is there's tons of opportunities. There's always opportunity. Okay, so Solana, this is another project that's doing a similar vibe to Chainlink, where it's made it up above the 382, and then it's gone to the, oh, this one's extended all the way to the exact level of what Chainlink did in the last cycle, right at the 618. What's weird is there's thin air up to $77. You can see that by just looking across the screen. So I'm wondering if it stops out here, if it's purely technical, and then the end of this would most likely lead into a correction down to this line that we've had in place since the genesis of Solana. So you see where this yellow trend line, it's the only trend line I have. Beautiful how clean this trend line is. After the end of the bull run, came right back to it, a test, and then we've initiated this automatic rally. Coming back to that would not be weird. That would be a 60% correction. That is very normal in the end of an automatic rally. So this thing overheated at a very quick moment. Let me see where we were getting 90 RSI on the daily. Yep. And I've taught you guys this about 88 RSI on the daily. I literally brought it up here in this post. You see I have 88 RSI marked. And I said that's a level that a lot of alts tend to top out at, like right around 90. So this thing's made it into 88. We'll see where it goes. Over here, it's made it up to 90 before. And that was at the bull run top. Yeah, super overheated right now. Coming back into around the 50s is normal after we do these big jumps to the upside. And I'm talking about RSI, which would put us around a $30 flat. Around $30 flat. Okay. Yeah, there's not too much to say about this. A surge up to 77, 79 is not technically out of question because there's just thin air between where we're trading at right now and that level. Yeah, this thing moved up a little bit, 180% in a month or so. Wild. It's crazy how quickly this market could get bullish, right? So I would only entertain a position in this if it was to get back down into the sub $30 level, or if it got close to 30, because from there you're looking at about, almost a 10x to the prior all-time high. So I think that's pretty good. 800% to the all-time high is nice, considering it could go into price discovery, and then it would be a great investment in that case. And it's a really high market cap. I believe it's top 5 ranked. So it's not like you're betting on a losing horse here. All right, Polygon, and then I think we're almost done. Matic. This one had its all automatic rally at a very weird time back in February of 2023. Then it corrected down to the 236, gorgeous. And since it has started recovery, so it's now moving into what could be an SOS phase. And what this tells me is this point, the 382 is crucial right now. So keep that in mind. That is around $70, 70 cents. Excuse me. That's around 70 cents. And off that level to where we are at in prior all-time highs, let's just quickly check out where that would put us. Not too much, actually, about 300%. But now look at this on the horizontal level basis. This was the C19 crash moment, and we're up 5,000% from that level. Holy moly. So that's looking a lot better from cycle to cycle. And it's very like this horizontal vibe, the same thing this cycle. So very mature looking chart, actually. It's not as pumpy dumpy and weird that you see in a lot of these altcoins. So another big player in the game. Probably something worth putting a little bit of an investment into, maybe around 2%, 3% or so. Now, I'm not sure if it's possible for it to do this all over again, this 20,000%, but at least into the 11618 on the logarithmic, that would make a lot of sense for the first real big move after price discovery. It's almost 2,000% above, so amazing. That would definitely be another position that I would consider putting into. Let's see where the daily 200 is. All right, so our 200s are right below the 382, sitting pretty much at 70 cents perfectly. So that would be a level that we held back here, a level that we got rejected over here, and since we've gotten above it, it would be nice to back test it one more time, and then I think we'll have another surge up to the top of this golden pocket, somewhere around $2 or something. All right, and because we have a lot of people in the Hex community, I'm going to quickly look at Hex on Ethereum, so eHex, and then we're going to look at pHex really quickly. I'm not sure if I'll be investing in these, but from where it's at right now to the current all-time high is fucking 8,000%. So this thing has lost almost all of its value. You know, it's lost 99%. If you go all the way down to the bottom, it's lost 99.5%. So like putting 0.5% or 1%, it's a Hail Mary play, but like Mamma Mia, you know? I mean, yeah, that's just back to all-time high. So if it was to only do what like we saw XRP do in the last cycle, or what we saw Stellar Lumens do, or Dash or Monero, where it only came up to the golden pocket, well then you're looking, let me see the long-term pull on this. I'm going to pull it to the side. I know it looks really awkward, but yeah, I mean, 15 to 12 cents. So even that's great. I mean, why I'm saying this is because then you don't even need to worry about price discovery. But yeah, I'm not sold on this just yet. It's a little bit too, I'm not a big fan of the cryptos that are all about the guy that's on the, you know, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it is all about Richard Hart. It's all about him. And if he becomes not relevant, then the project suffers. And so many people thought with this movie coming out, it would be good. That wasn't the case. There is really nothing that could help this project except if the investors regain faith in it. And that's obviously not the case. I mean, look at this chart. So I've talked about this rejection to be expected. I'll get into that another time in depth. I brought up the idea of us breaking below the 007 level. We've effectively broken through it. Now we're at 006, and we've even traded pretty much into this first red target I have mapped out, which is the 382 fib. That's pretty big. So getting to the 382 and 236 level on the back test would be likely. And that could happen into this full moon. And that would be exactly kind of the essence that happened back here at the same exact time, leading into late October, into early November, and then into the November full moon of 2020 correction. And then that was an amazing time to build final positions in this project, because look at what it went to do. It went up 14,000%. Jeez Louise. But it was stuck in this horizontal range for effectively 200 days if you look at the lows. So from it pumping into this area to where it finally had its last back test, that would be like getting in on the last back test before it goes up 14,000%. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like my outlook on this. It's like you're just buying venture capital. You're buying something that could go to zero. You're buying something that could do, you know, a huge move, crazy move to the upside. So if it does get down to there, I might nibble a little bit just for fun, see what happens. Just because I've called so many of these moves on this project and I've never traded them, which is not usually how I do things. It's just the Hex community has been so open and welcoming to my analysis and my theories on this from price and structural perspective that I've been covering it. And I appreciate the support, of course, and I want to help as many people as I can. But I've never traded it. And if I was trading it the same way I was trading XRP, then I'd be making some pretty damn good plays. So let's see if we get in at that 4004 level. I'll probably play it, see where we could take this. Let me look at, yeah, so here's the P hex chart. We talked about this in a bunch of red pill podcasts ago. We have this rejection line, and then we had this support line. It's coming out to be a kind of a big symmetrical triangle, I suppose. Yeah, it's just a big symmetrical triangle since the genesis of this project launch. So having it come back down into this full moon around 008 right there would make a lot of sense to me. Maybe some wicks down to this 00078 level, and then I suspect we'll have breakout leading into Q1. It'll break out of this because the bearish energy across the board is starting to dwindle. Once Bitcoin starts to really break out above this golden pocket territory, it's gonna get nice. All right, let me head into the chat. One moment. All right. I'm just looking through the chat right here. Kelly asks, what's OG stand for? It stands for Original Gangsta. It's just a term. Ben says major banks are using Chainlink, not XRP. Which ones, Ben? I'm well aware that back when I got going in this game, that Chainlink was partnered with Microsoft, and I thought that was huge. I thought that was really big. So Paula Rose says XLM always follows XRP, so I think XRP is the leader. Yeah. I mean, it's a big part of my thesis on why I don't feel like I need to get involved in XLM, even though I have seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, I love when you guys do that, I think Grayscale holds like no XRP, and they hold a pretty substantial amount of XLM. Like I think it was 70 million tokens, and when you do the math, that's not a huge position for a company that's as big as them, but it is like they're nibbling. They're taking some bites out of the XLM. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Kelly asks, what about gold and silver? So gold and silver have their purpose. You know, it's funny. The only time I really gave any prana to gold was probably like one of the best calls that I've made in regarding accuracy. And it had to do with this dip over here into early October. And I was telling everyone that if we do have a correction, it'll most likely pivot around 1830 to 1810. And I think I got it on the nose. I think it was like one of the craziest, like seriously, the accuracy. And the only reason that it was so crazy is now looking back at it, the buyback was insane on gold. So yeah, it broke below two key trend lines that I was looking at, and below the 0.618 into the 0.5 fib. So that's big. That's a big move. And I like how we held the structure here on this point and this point. So we have a deeper correction that came in around late February, and then this recent one, and then a nice buyback. So I think this was just a pure fake out. And what's fucked up about this, guys, is that this correction came in to the day of the start of the war in Israel. So you know that correction was fucking pre-scripted. Anyways, silver and gold are fine. There's nothing wrong with it, especially if you own your own property and you want to have a safe and protect it, etc. If you're somebody who's a little bit more nomadic, it's probably not the move, because you can't even go in a plane with a decent amount of gold without being messed with. So yeah, I mean, if you're somebody who wants to travel a lot and you want to get involved in being mobile and not have to worry about any of that shenanigans, then the loophole is jewelry. And this is something that I've taught and talked about, because there is a company, there's probably several companies out there that sell 24 karat gold jewelry, pure gold. And some people are like, well, you have to pay so much extra. And it's like, yeah, because it's art. It's like looking at at pottery and being like, but the clay only costs 20 cents. It's like, no shit. Somebody has to it's an art. Somebody has to turn the fucking clay into a pot. It doesn't just happen. You don't just take gold dust and rub it between your hands and you have a gold ring now. Like, it's funny that people even make these comments. It's like, yeah, of course it's more, but what it allows you to do is now you could be more mobile with it. And you don't have to worry about it that way. And most people who buy gold, it's a long-term game. And when you have 24 karat gold, then you could just melt that down in and of itself into a coin if you wanted to. So you don't have to deal with any of the impurities and shit that you would get with most gold jewelry is shit. It's like 14 karat, 18 karat. Even some of the highest designer brands out there, none of them are using 24 karat. So there is some companies out there, also better markets for it if you wanted to do some traveling. Like I believe in China and probably the Southeast Asia, you could probably get some pretty awesome gold dealers that'll deal with 24 karat gold. Most jewelers won't even deal with it. And anything besides 24 karat gold, I think is not even worth investing in. And there's nothing wrong with the gold coins. Like you can buy a pocket full of gold coins. Yes, technically it's easy to move around with, but there's laws in place that prevent you from even crossing state borders in the United States in a fucking car. So they're controlling this shit hardcore. You can't get on a plane with a certain amount. You have to declare it. If you don't declare it, they'll fucking bring you into a room to question you about it. But rings and chains and bracelets, they're not going to talk to you about that at all. Say it's my wedding ring. They don't even care. They don't even look at it. You could go through security with it. Nobody says a thing. But if you're going through security with 2 blocks of gold on you, good fucking luck. Good luck. But it's just about you. It's about your flow state. I talk about this all the time. Like, I'm not really super big on gold, even though it is, I believe, like maybe 8% of my portfolio. I didn't include that in what we're talking about today because it's not really the portfolio that I want to consider for what we're discussing with crypto. Like crypto, I have intention to sell it in a year from today, but gold, I don't have any intention on selling that maybe for the next 10, 20 years, right? It just holds a totally different purpose in my portfolio. So that's me. That's my take on it. I hope that brings you guys value. Somebody asked, what percentage of your total portfolio is crypto? So if you want to include fiat in that, I wouldn't know how to calculate that because I am so diversified in so many different things, and I have a lot of capital that I save to reinvest in business, and I have things that I'm looking to do in 2024 for the business that will be big investments. I don't know what I'm exactly holding. I don't really think that's as important, really. I've told people in the past that when you start getting into over 80% of anything, that's where you're imbalanced. So if you're 80% in cash, then you have too much cash. If you're 80% in crypto, you have too much crypto. If you're 80% in altcoins, way too much fucking altcoins. If you're 80% in gold, it's too much gold. It's too much gold. Like 80% of your total net worth in gold, sorry, but you have no ROI potential. So you're just holding yourself back from so many lucrative opportunities. You know, at best, gold goes to $2,400 an ounce next year. At best. You know, you could do that in a single week on an altcoin. So you're just, no matter how you slice it, when you start getting into 80% or more of something, of one individual thing, it's probably a little too much. Now, the cool thing about fiat is you can get very fancy with fiat. You can't get fancy with crypto. You could barely use crypto in the world. You know, not many people accept it. It's changing. The world is changing. And what's funny is people tend to use crypto to buy things at the worst time. People are more willing to buy things with crypto at a time where things are heavily discounted. It's all over the place. You know, people don't really know how to spend crypto yet. A lot of people don't know they can spend crypto to buy things. So, words of wisdom, 80% of anything is too much. But I'm not sure in my overall portfolio where my crypto is, with also considering fiat, also considering a gold position, also considering anything else that would have any value. One second. It's great to have so many people hanging out with us for so long. Okay, I'm just getting to some questions. I already talked about the Economist cover in yesterday's live stream. You could go check that out. Oh, yes. Okay. We have a project to look at that people keep asking me about, and it came up, and it's XPR Proton. Okay, I've already talked about this in the past, right? We've already discussed this on prior podcasts. So this is the XPR chart. Now, please fill me in on where this got its popularity. Somebody must have been, some influencers, some people must be talking about this. Okay. So from this peak right here, this thing is down 98%. From its horizontal support level, the only support level that it has, it's down 70% from its horizontal support level. The only one that it has, this is in price discovery to the downside. And if I was to just show you from this moment here, where it started to interact at the last time with this support level to breakdown, I want you to see how many days this has been. This has been 524 days of price discovery to the downside. This thing has effectively pivoted just as a couple weeks ago. 500 days of going down over and over and over and over and over again. This is not good. Like, I don't know what's going on, why it has anybody worry, like, fill me in. I just want to know. But like, I just look at charts like this and I say to myself, what? Do influencers talk about these? I'm just wondering. Again, I'm being curious. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm really curious here. Do influencers talk about these things without showing people the charts? This is like when you talk about, oh my God, I have the best analogy here. You know, when you have a friend that's single and you want to like get your friend a date. So you like talk about your friend to this other girl, like just like, he's a good guy. Chris is a good guy, you know, like Chris, he plays golf. Chris has a 3.7 GPA and is, you know, like you just make shit up. You're like, you want her to like Chris. And she's like, who the fuck is Chris? Then Chris shows up and he's just like, he's not even looking at her in the eyes. He's like scared. That's like what these charts are to me. I'm like, I totally feel that whoever's promoting this sort of stuff is like, they're talking about Chris to a girl to try to get him a date. And then you finally get to it and you're just like, ugh. At least try, dude. You know, that kind of moment. Is that the best analogy of all time? Let me know. By the way, shout out to any Chris's here. I'm not making fun of you. It's just a random name that I pulled up. We're having fun. I love Chris's, by the way. One of my best friends is a Chris. But we got to have fun. Like if we don't. Okay, so like I would never touch this thing with a 1,000,000-foot pole. This is not safe feeling. Symbolism is pretty interesting on this. I think there's a conspiracy out there that allegedly people think this is the real one. Like this is the one. That XRP is like a psyop and it's a distraction away from the real chosen, the Phoenix, you know? Does this chart look like something that's the chosen one? Like, this is like if Jesus, if all the pictures of Jesus were him in a wheelchair with like a blindfold on, you'd be like, you know, they needed to make it like a handsome guy with long hair and a beard and he's like shredded. Right? They needed to show you a guy that looks like that. Otherwise you wouldn't like the Jesus guy if he like was like, you know, fat and like had one dreadlock. Just once dreadlocks, which became one dreadlock. Like we wouldn't all worship that guy. But he's like, they show you this like hip, handsome looking guy. He's like, he looks like a Jedi. You know, that's sellable. You could sell people on that. No offense to people in wheelchairs. It's just like, if you believed in the chosen one, he's probably could walk and run and do somersault backflips. You know, he's probably ice skating in the desert. All right, I'm just moving through these now. Something about VRA. VRA. Got a couple of these charts in here. Let's see what we got. Okay, we got some chart history on this one. I like this one more. So we've looked at this in the past. Cool. We've had a very clean market bottom structure. So this would be your buying climax, selling climax. Very clean on this pivot. That was your automatic rally. So your automatic rally is over in this one. And now the way that it's dumped slightly below this 236, but you could see on this horizontal level right here. I like that. So we can look at two key points. You could see the initial move to the selling climax followed by a fake out. And then you have this attempt at holding on, but then we had to go one leg lower for the real shakeout, you know, like this is where people lose all their hope. Then we have an automatic rally after you lose all your hope. That's why we like to call this moment right here a bear trap. Then we come back to it and then you see where we've held since 0041 perfectly there. So I really like this level now. This would be your last bull run lows. Like here was your C19 levels. And this thing's effectively up 1,000% since. So it's looking a little better than some other charts too. So kind of looking like the Polygon chart actually with this weird February automatic rally. Yeah, this holy shit. This is super similar. Let me pull that up so you guys can see what I mean. I think this is the same chart. Excuse me if I'm... Yeah, like holy shit. It's so similar. Fuck. Okay, look. Step by step. So we have Veracity, double top, kind of high bull trap. That's really crucial because that's what Bitcoin did too. So this is like your double top, high bull trap. Same essence over here, followed by a correction. And then we have this, I think, of February... Yeah, look at that. It fucking hit the golden pocket in February. What the hell? That's so random. Okay, then it automatic rally into February, come back down slightly below the 236, come back down slightly below the 236, then it bumped up to the 0.5, bumps up Okay, so this is like pretty much the same structure. Really cool. You guys should take note of this. Also, I'm just like weird with pattern recognition. So for me, it's like always in memory. But for people that are following along in this, if you want to see how to get a little bit more savvy on charts, once you remember structure and have that pattern recognition, it'll make it a lot easier for you, because when you're looking at stuff like this, you can go, okay, this is like structurally following a top 10 altcoin, right? But I don't think this is anything even close to the top 10. So just fascinating. And also, given of where it used to be to where it is today, from the past cycle to where trading and outs, looking like it has some confidence for the investor side of things. I'd be lacking confidence if it was all the way down here, right? The prior lows, but that's not the case. I had spring marked out. We're not sure if that'll happen, but hey, on a project like this, a spring can happen anytime. And a spring is lower than your selling climax. So that would be something like this. We could easily have this thing like lackadaisically push up to the 0.5 fib, and then in like this sort of structure here, have a weird like boom, middle finger type invert or head and shoulders, excuse me. And then this head and shoulders just sinks into May. And it could be something like that. And the people like that think that this shit's weird, like that's exactly what C19 crash was like. It was a fake out bull trap higher high, followed by a weird push where it was holding and people weren't sure, and then just dump day. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen 100% with this project, but I'm just saying be open-minded to that kind of stuff, because in Wyckoff, you do have a spring. And not every spring holds perfectly as a double bottom. But it could be a possibility that it just has a double bottom. It could be a possibility it only makes it back to this level, to slightly below the 236 again. And then that would be amazing. That's probably what more the Matic vibe is, you know? But it has that maturity in Matic. It has a little bit more market cap in it, you know? Cool chart. I'm not sure if I would personally put any money in this. I'd rather just bank on the Matic play. But cool. Yeah, I mean, given this thing had about a 15,000% run, it's pretty on par with a lot of things. Interesting. Cool. How much of your bags will you keep at the end of the bull market? What do you mean? Like when it's all said and done? I think holding one Bitcoin forever is like the best thing anyone can do. Hold a Bitcoin for your children. But for real, I think everyone should have at least a Bitcoin moving into this new age as an insurance policy against a failing dollar. So I think there's always a reason to hold a little bit of Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean don't de-risk any of it, because it's still a super volatile asset and it could come down maybe 60% in the next bear market. There's also a theory that I want to get into, and I can't talk about it today because I need to do some more deep dive research, but I have a theory that we could have a double bull run. Like we could have like a double pulse kind of deal. But I'll talk about that another time, because it's not, we're far from there. Same sort of follow-up question. Do you think we're going to have 90% corrections in altcoins this bull cycle into next bear market? Yes. But it's not going to happen on Ethereum. It's probably not going to happen on XRP. It's definitely not going to happen in Bitcoin. Maybe Binance coin, if it can make it that far. But I think a lot of things will lose a ton of value for sure, because we're still super speculative. It's just a lot of speculation, and it's not a household name yet. Somebody, ZSH says, I feel you've been more bullish on XRP lately. I mean, I've always been covering XRP. I just feel like I'm in a weird position. ZSH. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm opening up to you right now. Okay, brother? I have an audience of 70,000 people. All right. And people are finding my work a lot from other people who are like XRP only influencers. And they come up with their own like preconceived notions of what I stand for. Like a lot of people come to my work and they're like, he talked about Bitcoin, fuck him. And then they close out the video. It's like, wait, what do you mean? I'm not here like promoting any, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like this whole XRP community is so anti-Bitcoin and ETH, and they're only about their thing. And it's so toxic and weird. So ever since I got started in this, I wanted to be the thing that broke that spell. I wanted to be the one that shows the truth without the tribalism, that's able to explore this asset class called blockchain technology and cryptocurrency and do it in a way that's level-headed and doesn't have this emotional kind of, salesman-y tactic on some particular project. Like, what benefit does that have for an adult? Like, I could see if you're like a child, like, I'm not trying to sound disrespectful here, but it's like, what's up with this tribalism that's going on? Like, how could people be? Anyways, I think it's all part of our journey to get sucked into a cult. We all go through it, and it's up to us to really grow up and be vulnerable and admit, like, okay, I was sucked into a cult, and that cult is the XRP army. And when you break free from that spell, you finally see things a little clearer. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of interesting how I was able to navigate this whole market while staying in a phase of growth and getting people to feel where I'm coming from without the sense of attack. Because I don't want to make the XRP community feel like I'm attacking them. I'm trying to fucking help them. I'm trying to show them that there's a better, more accurate, and more thorough way of analyzing what you're talking about here. That's all. I want to help you guys. It's the same thing with Hex. I don't own a single Hex, but I'm still going out of my way to share my truth on it and look at these charts and to just do what I do best. So I'm trying to be an actual technical analyst. That's what I'm trying to do. And I go through the growth phase and have new people that come on and they get what it's about, but then it's overwhelming majority of a lot of people who just don't get it and they think it's bullshit. And so it was up until really that I was able to connect with Bearable Bull that I've had that bigger XRP audience that is starting to take what we're doing here a little bit more seriously. And they're seeing that you can also talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum and other altcoins. And it's not like you're cheating on XRP because that's what a lot of these guys that's what a lot of these people act like you're cheating on the other thing. And it's like, ugh. Not the vibe. So yeah, I'm in a weird position in that as I grow. It's just something that I've learned to get comfortable with. It's not that I'm more bullish on XRP now. It's just XRP is getting more bullish now. Like, that's what it is. Like, I get bullish when I see things are starting to, pivot. But was I waiting and waiting and waiting to buy XRP, all of my XRP right now? No. Like, was I selling at a time that most people were thinking it would even go higher? Yes. Like, I'm a trader and I'm an analyst and I'm trying to do this without getting caught up in the roller coaster of mythology, Okay, I'm looking through. I'm not sure if I'm going to invest in XDC. It's an interesting project. We'll see. Indigo AI reviews. I appreciate you, brother. You said, what do you think about XRP, 90% XRP and a 10% venture capital bag? Insanely risky. Insanely risky. And brother, I know that this is going to sound not sexy right now, but I just want to let you know a quick story. In the beginning of the last bull run, I started doing portfolio reviews. I'm not doing them anymore. I will not do those again. So please, I can't offer that service. At the time I offered it, if I offered that now, I would never be able to leave my house. So I offered it at one time. And when I did that, I saw some of the craziest shit you'd ever imagine. Like, I saw people that had 90% Dogecoin portfolios at the top, and they didn't sell. And they were buying at the top. And I was just like, yo. I used to have people that would come in with like an 80% XRP portfolio, and I would write back something pretty standard. Like, I would include some Cardano, include some, I think we were doing some like Chainlink, some VeChain, some, you guys might remember, Polkadot, a bunch of that kind of stuff. And they were like, I wrote back the portfolio review. I sent back what they should be considering, and most of them never, ever replied with, oh, like, what do you mean? Or sorry, most people were replying back saying, what do you mean I should have only like 20% XRP? Like, I have 70% XRP. And I'm like, yeah, that's a problem. And if a lot of them would have followed that advice, they would have not only made way more ROI in this whole thing, but they would have been able to actually have they would have had a strategy to have de-risked and then went back into Bitcoin when it was all said and done. And what happened with a lot of them is they just held the XRP through the entire time, and they never sold, and then they never made any money because they weren't situated in altcoins that actually were timed to have price discovery or more movement to the upside at a time where XRP was already stalling out. And the concept behind having Bitcoin was to just protect them from a real substantial, significant loss in the bear market. So yeah, I think that these overly risky portfolios are only beneficial if you know how to sell them. If you don't know how to sell and you don't have the strategy to do it, then good luck. So that's what's really rough about this game is too many people get into these really speculative alts because they want all this ROI, but then when the ROI shows up, they don't have the guts to press the sell button because they don't have an exit strategy in place. So yeah, I would be cautious on these portfolios like this 90% or 100% altcoin only portfolio. It's a little bit imbalanced. And if all you care about is ROI, then great. Just study how to sell and study how to sell in a way that you don't get sucked into the emotion of other people and other analysts and other influencers at the time where they start talking about like, we're going higher, you know, because that's really what gets people to do some pretty shitty plays. I store crypto on a hardware wallet. What exchanges do I prefer? Coinbase and Gemini are ideal, even in the state of New York. I don't recommend Binance.us anymore unless you're somebody that's purely working with crypto, because then you could transact with stable coins there. Uphold is really dropping the ball a lot. They're only really good on like the mobile app, but I would not be dealing with large amounts of like XRP on Uphold. I'd rather just do Gemini or Coinbase. Also, another good thing about Gemini and Coinbase is they allow institutional accounts, so you can get into those. I wish Uphold would just get their fucking shit together with whatever their servers are. You know, no offense to them. I think they're doing a good job, and they responded to the to the Ripple SEC lawsuit like bosses, but we all just have to be honest and admit that they go down like once a week. Like, I've never seen an exchange go down so often, especially when it matters most. That is the top exchange that I've seen fail. And it's like, yeah, that worries me. That worries me. So I think it's an opportunity because it's one of the easier ways for any US citizen to get XRP and for a lot of other people to get XRP. But for me, I'm now looking more to the Gemini and Coinbase route. And perhaps Kraken is another good one to consider. But Coinbase is the number one, and they IPO'd. So like now that they're public, they're all protected from all these other angles. They have a huge lawyer team. They're not tied into China like Binance is, so we don't have to worry about any of that weird shit going down. I still have a Binance.us account. I still use it for doing some of the altcoins that I can't access on those other platforms. But for bigger amounts, Gemini Coinbase is the way to go. You're going to have to research your tax situation in your country. Like, I don't know everybody's tax situation and what is considered a taxable event in your country. So, yeah. Somebody asks for Avalanche. I'm going to write this down real quick. 1 second. I want to have this organized. We went over VRA, going over AVAX. We went over XPR. Okay. So we do have this project still below the 382. So just consider that. Above the 382 is really where automatic rally vibes are a real deal. But I mean, shit, this thing has just moved up in a straight line lately. We can see comparatively. So we got 121, 110, 150. Okay, so it's not totally weird. We've gotten 121%, almost 130% here, and then lately we've gotten this 150%. So it's like pretty much the way this project has moved before, but the way that the speed or the way that it's moving up is very much looking like a breakout vibe. Like it's just so much buying pressure and it's not exhausted. So in the short term, a 236 test would be healthy because I'm going to assume this RSI is fucking cooked. Yeah. Looking at 90 RSI, it's not good. It's cooked. Having it come down to the 236, about $17. Getting the RSI somewhere around 50, 53, 52, I think that'd be good. And then a nice continuation from there. Yeah, this is a tough one to bet on because it doesn't have a bunch of data from the past. It's a pretty new project. Let's see what the bull run. I actually like how it only had a 4,000% gain. I like that because there's too much stuff out there that had like 50,000, 70,000% gains and then they went on to lose, 99%. It's not the most convincing stuff for the future. It's just it was in the right place at the right time because the Federal Reserve was printing all that money. This looks nice though. Pretty interesting chart. Backup phase, SC. I would say, yeah, it's a little tough to determine because of how new it is, I like to see some chart history. But I'm going to entertain this trend line right here. I think this is useful. This kind of reminds me of the trend line that we saw on, is it the H-bar chart? Yeah, okay, so you see we have this double crown top distribution deal, and then we come back up on these rejections. So we're going to go back to Avalanche now. So we have this double top sort of crown top distribution thing. And then with these rejections coming down, you see how explosive this is? That's what I assume is coming next for Hedera. It just hasn't done it yet. So yeah, this thing has made it up, and now, I mean, it's back testing a couple of crucial wicks. We got one over here from September, February. We got one here in April, and now we've effectively pushed above it. So it's looking pretty damn good. I just think it's maybe a little overheated, and it would be nice for this thing to come back a little bit. Maybe just below 20, I think, would be enough to reset this and then keep it moving throughout March, April. Jerry Rose says, my Coinbase account got hacked. Well, how did it get hacked? If you follow the proper protocol for your password and your 2FA, then you shouldn't be dealing with any of that stuff. So usually the only way things get hacked is if you share your emails, or if you're using the same email account for also personal reasons. This is why I teach in my course, in my crypto mastermind, I always teach people. You want to have a long password that you use some sort of a password generator to create. Then after you make that password, I want you to write it down, but write it down slightly differently. Just use it as a blueprint. It should be like 16 characters. Then never use your phone number for two-factor. You always use an actual two-factor authentication app, like something like Authy or Google Authenticator. With that, only use that email that you made, like a Proton Mail email. Only use that solely for crypto and solely for your exchanges, and you should be good. The only other way is if you're pretty much sharing the email with other people, and then it's hackable. Or if you're making the password too easy, or if you're making it your phone number as two-factor. That's also not the safest method. The hardware wallet that I personally use is a Ledger Nano X. And you always want to make sure that you buy it directly from, you always want to buy it directly from Ledger. This is not a very useful comment. Freya Dog says, look at a proper chart, not Finex. Well, then tell me the chart to look at, right? Be useful if you have a statement. XRP Captain says, Uphold always crashes on pumps. No, it crashes even on dumps. It crashes all the time. It crashed a couple days ago. It literally crashed just a couple days ago when it wicked down to 58 cents. Like, I really want to like Uphold. I really do. I think that for the most part, they did awesome in their handling of this whole bullshit with the SEC case. Like, they responded the right way. So I give them their flowers for that, you know? It's just, I don't really, it's like liking somebody that always fails to be there when you need them, you know? It's like, imagine you had like your brother, you love your brother, right? But then like you need a ride to the airport. He just shows up late. You're like, you missed the flight, or, you know, you need him to, your house is on fire. I'm just fucking around, but you know what I'm saying? It's like Uphold is that guy that you like, but they're just he's never there when you need him. Also, there's plenty of really awesome hardware wallets. I'm sure you could do your own research, and there's probably a better one than, I'm not here to sell people on the Ledger. Just the one that I use. It works fine. I've had no issues with it. Okay, I'm going to look at a couple of charts. I'm going to look at, and then we're going to go. I'm going to have to cap this one up. This is a very long red pill. We're looking at Rune now. Woof. It's getting bullish in here. One second. All right. So it's been a minute since I've looked at this chart. I believe we have this action over here on the 236 after having about a year of trading down in this pattern before breaking out, and then effectively just going straight to the golden pocket. Incredible. What is going on in this? Holy shit. 150,000%. Woo, 150,000%. So yeah, off the bottom of the C19 crash to where it hit bottom, and the selling climax in this recent market was 1,500% above. Mamma mia. We got some Zeus symbolism in this too. We got a lightning bolt. But yeah, this is very automatic rally-like, family, and I don't like this. I really don't like when charts do this move like that. So that's 87. And by the way, when I mean I don't like, I'm just saying that like giving our attention to it now is what I don't like. There's no point of like really getting excited about stuff that's doing this sort of stuff. Because, yeah, I mean, it's already started to make its move. It's also within only a couple 100% of its all-time high. So, yeah. The opportunity is not so as much as if accumulating below the 236, which is what I talked about in the earlier projects, which you could see below the 236, you're looking at 1,000%, potentially 2,000% retesting all-time highs. Now you're not really in that vibe anymore. It would be like buying into an area that a lot of smart money actually de-risks, to be honest. Because even though this had an amazing bull run, this still had about a 97% correction, and this looks like an automatic rally to me. And the way automatic rallies end is once you break below the 0.5 fib, you get to this 382, and that would be a really nice setup because let me show you a couple of these levels to consider. You have right there is a very crucial level. Test, 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 break, retest, rejection. Now we've made it back above that. So that was effectively 500 days off the last time we tested that level, and going backwards you could see it's about almost 500 days in the other direction. So from getting to that level from now being here is 1,000 total days. To just blast right through it with no retests is very awkward. So I would tell people who are interested in this, you want to keep that in mind. And then if this wanted to really shit out, then it would come down to slightly above the 236, which is about $2. So that would look like a correction today that would bring you to, yeah, somewhere around $2. It's just hard to say, because these automatic rallies, they could 702 up, they could have a bull trap and do one of these. We see that this thing is choppy. We got 3 pyramids over here. It's choppy. I mean, it does get going though. So tough call. I just don't like looking at stuff and getting interested in it when it's already near a golden pocket. This is my opinion. I'm going to move on. It's a very cool chart though. Gonzo, hope you're doing very well, brother. Appreciate you showing up. This has been an incredibly long podcast, but hopefully everyone's getting a ton of value out of it. All right. I'm probably going to look at just one more. Somebody says fetch AI. Let's see what's happening. Woof. Okay, let me see if I could get another chart, even though this is the one that I looked at last time. All right. So remember what I was just telling you about, like with these automatic rallies, is how we typically break below the 0.5 fib and then we come back to the 0.382. So effectively a perfect test on there. Now we're back testing the highs of the AR, which is also a little bit of a action zone we've seen before a deeper correction. So that's a crucial area, which we're basically coming up into right now. It's a prior resistance. So we have resistance leading us to a deeper correction, which would be the end of this project's bear market. We have our automatic rally rejection, very typical, break below the 0.5, confirming automatic rally, back test on the 382. Again, kind of what you anticipate, but you usually see 236 or even lower. So yeah, this is a bullish structure for sure. But now this coming back into this area could be precarious because it could be treated as a double top. I believe AI lately in general has been getting so much prana that this sort of stuff becomes in the speculative lenses of the, of investors. Everything going on with ChatGPT, etc. So yeah, wow, quite a difference between the C19 lows and where it's been trading at in the selling climax. Got about 500%, looking pretty good, but then multiple moves up at least 2,000, 3,000% from that level. So lots of progress on this. Pretty substantial bull run, about 8,000%, and then followed by a 95% correction. So it's normal. And then what we're seeing now, yeah, I think just keep it in mind that we're back testing a very important level. I'll probably put that there and see how that goes. Something like this, because another coming back to this area again could be in the cards. I'm gonna put two lines. Another thing I like to do is this, where I'll turn a chart into area and I'll only play off the closures. So like this. I got my weekly closures on my bottom side, and on the top side I have my daily to consider. It gives us something to, I should probably remove that. That's good enough. Back candles, probably be a pullback area. But I don't know if it's happening now. Just the timing of everything with moving into this new year. This thing could easily go up to the 786 and just trade around this area for some time, hold sideways, and this could be another horizontal trading range that's built. So it would look like this. And then you just move to the right. This would be your new horizontal trading range in between this area and upwards of this 786. Pretty obvious too if you just take it to the back. We've only had, probably collectively 30 days, 100 days. We've only collectively had about 4 months above this AR level in the whole chart history of this Fetch AI project. So keep that in mind. That's right around your 888 fib. This thing can absolutely go to the top of the 786, trade around in this smaller area, build some support there, come back down to this trend line, and then keep it moving. But going much lower than the 382 at this time would be awkward, unless obviously there's a much deeper correction in Bitcoin, and if the eyes of investors get off of AI, which I don't find that happening anytime soon either. All right, family, I'm going to wrap this one up here. This was an epic live stream. It was so beautiful to hang out with you all for so long and to make some jokes, have some fun, enjoy our time together. And we've went over, let me see how many total projects. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We went over 20 coins. So that's a record. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your weekend, and we will all be catching up very soon. And trust me, I will be sharing frequent updates, especially if we get any pullbacks leading into this upcoming full moon. You guys have all the information in today's video. Please re-watch it if needed. This is definitely going to be one that will have tons of, little nuggets of wisdom hidden here and there. So I hope you're taking notes. And with that being said, appreciate every single one of you. Much love.